Everybody, welcome back to the channel, Architect's Maze, and today we're going to be looking at working on our par 3. Now, just starting off on the hole 1, as everyone knows what we've done so far. This is the first hole we've just knocked up a quick design for. I wouldn't say quick, it's taken us a good few episodes to get it through, but this is where we're standing at the moment. We're trying to do a little sort of intimate, tree-lined, wild-looking sort of surroundings course, but we're going to be working on the par 3 next. Par 4 hole 1 still needs a little bit of work, as in sculpting the green, but we'll do that sort of towards the end. But that's looking quite nice now. I had this idea to do this retaining wall sort of par 3, put in a few extra bunkers there. Got to run a fairway round through there still yet, but it's a bit too open for my liking at the moment. I want to try and make it a little bit more intimate. So I had a go on it last night and tried to do a video, but I was just having one of those times where I was in the mood to do it, but nothing was happening. And it happens to us all. Creativity was just at a zero, really. I wasn't feeling anything I did. I didn't enjoy it, so it's a good tip for newer designers that if you do get those moments, just turn it off. Go and do something else. It just wasn't meant to happen. You're going to have days where things just flow, and you're going to have great moments where you can just design nice and quick and everything's flowing and happening and it's all working, and then you're going to have days where it just doesn't. So when you get those days, don't try and keep forcing it. Just switch it off. Go and put on music or a film or something, do something else. You can always come back to it the next day. But it happens from time to time, and there's literally no point trying to. You could do an hour, 2 hours work and just not be happy with any of it, and you just wasted your whole time. I mean, I did about an hour. I tried to do the video. I got about 45 minutes in and just sort of, it all looks rubbish. Everything I'm doing, I'm just give up. So we switched it off. But I'll come back tomorrow, see how I feel. It's a lovely day out there today. I've had a nice morning, pretty chilled out. So I thought, let's jump on and try and get something going. So yeah, my idea was really to have that big wide open lake, but looking at the course and how I want the rest of the course, I want it to be nice and intimate, tree lined course. So for me, it was just way too wide open. This hole didn't suit the first hole, doesn't suit what I want to do for the other holes. So I thought it'd be quite interesting if I could get some hills going through this section. Some nice tight tree line all the way along it, just all the way around really, but I want to try and get some hills going through this part of the course really. Let's try and raise. So I want to have quite a steep bank coming through here. I'm going to put a path in this little gap next to the actual water, but I want to try and cut some hills in and through here without affecting my bunkers too much. I'm getting a bit close there. So I'm just going to keep raising some land up all the way around, try and get it sloping in. Or I can cut in some sort of terrain painting or something sort of, I don't know, this was the only thing I had in mind, was to just try and make it a little bit more intimate through here. Didn't need to be so wide open as it was. Not worried about how undulating all that land is at the moment. Takes 2 seconds to sort out. We'll just get a little bit of a smooth finish towards the edge there. I just use that initial shape because it will throw in some quirky little bits of land into the water. It's just getting the height of how high I want this sort of bank to be. I don't want it to be quite as high as it was, so we'll just raise down a couple of little areas. About that. Let's have a look off the tee. Yeah, by the time I've built up all this, I mean, I want that massive hill on the left's going to be covered with trees anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. The hills on the right don't look great at the moment, but we've got to do some sculpting to those. And we want to get this path in down the right, going round to join up near where that brick wall is. So let's start. If we try to start on the left here and try getting some trees going down that left and just block all that side off with vegetation. If we look at the first hole, it's closed in and intimate, and I want to try and create that sort of feeling on every hole without making it look the same. So that's the challenge at the moment, the idea of what I'm thinking for this particular hole. So I'm just going to run a bit of this subsoil just around the edge, just to break up that lush green. I mean, we could keep it, but we'll try and get some textures going really at the moment. I probably should have just done that all the way around, but never mind. And then we'll run a grass topsoil over that and then blend it back like we did on the previous hole. That's the sort of weathering look I'm going for really on this course. We played around with some subsoils and I don't want to overdo it on this one. So we got that sort of going in there already, which is what I want. I want these sort of dappled grassy effects on the bank. I think that suits the terrain without overdoing it. Saves us putting in. I don't know if I want to put vegetation all the way down to the water's edge there. I'm probably just going to keep it along the top here. But if we get some trees in first, we can nick some trees from over here and just start running them through and go all the way along really. So let's try taking some of these trees, borrowing these. As long as you twist them and fill them, and you can copy and paste tree lines really. You want never, as long as there's nothing obvious that's a pattern, you can get away with it. I'll just delete all that. So I'm just trying to still, even though I've been doing this a little while now, still trying to get used to talking and doing it while you're going. It can affect your creativity sometimes, and sometimes you turn off the camera and you sit down, put some music on in the background or a podcast or something, and you can get a lot more going. But selected items, copy selection. But we're going to try and do it all. We're doing it all sort of live, so I'm not editing any of these videos, I'm just recording and doing it. So we can get going through here. And we'll look at that off the tee just as a guide of how tight those trees look. So obviously we're going to want to bring them all the way up to the edge, and we can put another row in, I think, just to get a good idea. We've also got we cleared our trees out this whole area, so I can bring that spline point back of clearing out the trees and put some natural trees back in. We'll actually do that now. So we want to bring those trees back. Obviously we can't see that highlighted point where I did that, so we have to go to the filters section. There's an overlay, so if we click on the overlays, clear generated trees. I'm just going to get rid of the ghost sign. That's our thing for the generated trees. So we'll bring that back, bring all those trees back in. Now we're not using all that water, we don't need to have that, and we can use some of those trees to our advantage, just filling in areas. Let's just bring those back and delete these couple of points And the last one. And I'll do the same behind the hole. Back here we don't need all this, so just deleting a couple of points here will bring all that back round. And this point here. To be honest, we can move all this in close as well. And right behind the hole. And the rest I'll keep. Just don't want it affecting the obvious areas. No. Let's move it so we can get that in around there. I should have brought a few trees back into the equation. Not many, but some. Let's have a look off there. Actually, I'm going to go to filters and take that back out and put it as a ghost again. So overlay edits, clear generated trees, ghost. That gets rid of that, otherwise it keeps popping up every time you're scrolling around the course. It gets in the way. Get that big yellow blob. So we put some trees back in now. We just want to get some really tight and close on the left. So let's just get a few more pines in there. And then we can start putting some fillers in that left hand side and some grass and getting that looking a bit tighter. I took a bit of grass there, I'll take that out. Just looking to hit the pines at the moment. Nice one. And that one. That should do for a minute. Let's get those 4 in this little section here. Close to the as we can. So that's how when we've got this filler here, we can start bringing all that round, bring it out through here. This one can just go back a little bit. And then I'm going to copy and paste a few and just drop them around the back here and try and hook up with this point. So we'll use the ones around the back of the green because they'll be about the right shape, getting a little bit of curve on that. So we go cypress, pick up all we can. Just when you've laid down a lot of grass, it highlights a lot of the grass when you're trying to do this stuff, especially bushes as well. So I'm just looking on the left and making sure I'm hitting all the pines and cypresses that we've got that. Put in a couple of different style trees here and there. I might grab these few as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should do for a minute. So we go to select and copy. That will hopefully bring that round to about there. Drop that in. I want to leave going off to this next par 5. I want to try and create something that comes off through here like a path that takes us out to our next hole. So that should work. And I may as well just grab, copy and paste a few and just fill up this little zone here while we're here. Do that quite quickly if we can find these pines we want. That one. Like I say, it's quite awkward when you've put down so many bushes and you're trying to copy and paste pines, because it always wants to highlight the grass. And that black gum will carry on up to here, I think about there. So we'll drop those ones in over in this section here. Hopefully that'll link it up. How close should we go? I'm going to keep them sort of quite high because I'm going to put some terrain painting through there and some lower bushes and stuff. So there you go, that's a lot more intimate now of what I'm looking for. Let's have a look off the tee, see what it looks like. Yeah, I think it's going to suit the course more, having that sort of wild. I may even take that brick wall out and just leave that retaining wall. We did that as a tutorial to show what you can do when you spline retaining walls, that you can add a second layer and cover it with a brickwork. So that's two separate splines. The first one is the retaining wall and the second one is the brickwork. So I may just drop that out for a second. See what it looks like off the tee. So I want it to look quite woody and natural, don't we? No, I've just pushed play course. Let's go back to play hole 2. I do that all the time. Probably not the only one. Play hole 2. I'd say the retaining wall just on its own suits the style we're looking for. Don't really need to keep the brick wall in there. So let's put some fillers in on the left. Start working that side first. It should be the quicker way of doing that. So we're just going to do the same process as what we did before. We're going to use the big broadleaf behind, back probably 20-30 yards back from our main tree line. Get to the height of where they are here. We'll just close off that little area there. I'm going to make them a bit smaller because these are quite close to the tee. Drop one down a bit lower. And then we're just going to run this all the way along the back. Obviously the further away we go from the player, we can make them bigger, cover more area, use less planting. Save on meter. And then we're going to just do the same thing, just use bushes as fillers again around the nearer stuff as it gets closer towards the water's edge. It should work nicely. I want to leave that area there for that path to run through. We'll probably take a couple of those pines out behind that. That'll pick up hole 3. Take them back a bit. We're starting to get something going through there now. I think we'll just stop it around here somewhere. Put one more lower one in. That should cover that. Yeah, I mean that started to drag in some different colours through there. I just need to sculpt it a little bit better, and I'm going to do some terrain painting around that high ledge there. So where that tree's come up from. A bit like that. Now we're going to go for the dark lower bush again, just to fill in the foreground, and then we're going to go for the lighter bush and get closer and smaller. Just to really close off those edges, and then we'll probably run a bit of grass again, just to border it all. Nice and tight to the water's edge. And we could spline a little bit of bedrock terrain painting down low on the water's edge there, but I don't know if it needs it, to be honest. I'm not sure. We'll have a look, have a play of it, make our decisions, see if it looks good. It's all about enhancing the whole. If it adds something, keep it in. If you're adding things for the sake of it, just to try and be as creative as you can, and it doesn't really add it or add anything valuable to it, then you're overdoing it. Now, I'm quite a notorious overplanter, as you can see, but that's my style, so that's who I am. So let's get around here. Gives us an opportunity to finish off our path round the back of this tee along through here, and we'll bring a path all the way around and join up. We may even continue the path, I think, actually. We'll run it up through here and we'll run it all the way around. and off that way. And we'll just leave a little area there for players to walk through. This all rough here I can get rid of. We'll just put some heavy rough terrain over the top of that, and that'll sort that out. It's just the natural bedrock coming through as we're laying plants and bushes and trees. It will just automatically does that itself, the game, but we'll just clean all that up. So next we're going to go for our lighter bush, and we're going to make it a bit smaller so we're getting a bit more detailed, and you won't notice how big we've made everything. Just got to be careful not to keep everything the same height. Adjust where you can. See, I've got roughly the same height there, but I could just put one behind. It's in the air, but you'll never see it from the actual shot. Just blend them all in so you got dark light, and you're overlapping them a little bit, so you're not just putting a bush there. You want to blend them in so they sort of sink into each other. And we'll add some different colours as well on top of that as well in a minute, just to break it all up again. I haven't been twisting them very much, but I don't find you really need to. This tree's quite similar in its shape. As long as you're changing the heights, you don't always have to twist this particular bush. These are my favourite sorts of bushes for doing this sort of work. They're quick, they're detailed, they render well, they upscale really nicely, so that's all I'm looking for in a tree or a plant, something that upscales well, just to do this job. And then when you get to the more plants or trees that you're going to have really in shot, you can go for more detailed ones. Doesn't matter if they don't upscale too well, because they're going to be right in the player's eye. So we're just going to take that cypress out in the middle of that path there, and that's going to be our path running through there. That's that area now done. Let's just run this heavy rough around the edge of here. I don't think it'll show up again because we're not really planting anything big, so we should be able to get rid of all that now. That's gone. Getting there quite quickly, so I'm going to thin this grass topsoil out a bit because I'd like that a little bit more weathered through there. It's looking a bit green, but then we've lost that area there, haven't we? Square that. Let's bring it up again. It was about 100, wasn't it? I don't mind it looking too lush and green, I just don't want it to be. What about if we move a couple of points this way? Yeah, that's more to the sort of thing I want. A little bit more weathered through that section there. It's a bit too green. It's quite in the player's eye, so we'll just bring that bit out. We might have to do a bit by the green as well. That wasn't heavy rough, was it? We're going to have to take that heavy rough through the whole thing, probably. Let's have a look at that. Because we lost that bit of natural ground, I tried to replace it with just a bit of heavy rough, but obviously you can see we've got a border now, so we're going to have to bring it all the way around, bring it through here, and then chop it all the way through it. Take it to that. That should be that for now. This little bit annoys me here. And then we'll get back to our planting. We've got to brushing. I've put in a fairway along here as well anyway, so why is that doing that? Let's have a look at something quick. Let's just put a brush in through there. Did I put a light rough in? Or did I do a heavy rough the whole time? Yeah, I put a light rough in. That's what's caused the whole problem, isn't it? Donut. So, sorry about that. Let me delete that light rough and then delete that heavy rough. Silly me. I was wondering why that was such a different texture when I was running that through there. So we'll put our heavy rough in just on the edge of the and all this rough sort of land here. Keep that there. I didn't really want to change. Just wondering why that looks so weird, but now we're back to where we should be. Cool. My bad. So let's have a look at the tee shot first and see how we're doing on the left before we start adding grass. Play hole 2. So we filled all that area in pretty quickly. It's looking nice and tighter and intimate now. Just need to work on that area on the left. On the right, sorry. It's just a case of getting some bushes a bit closer, and I want to put in another couple of tall pines in the shot again, right next to the hole, next to the tee. So hole 2, we want to get, I don't think that one's quite in shot, so we'll just drag that to there. I don't know if that's going to be right in line with our player's view, so we'll just bring, they're all 4 in a row there, looks a bit weird. Let's have a look at that quickly. Framing your tee is quite annoying, you have to keep going back into the player's perspective and checking it. That's fine. That works for me. The other thing, I'm just going to border all those bushes we've just done with some grass work. And then we can add some different coloured bushes just to break it all up. So this area here, I want to flatten that. I don't care if it encroaches on our tee at the moment, because we're going to re-flatten the tee again in a sec. And when you ever do any sculpting work, I mean at the end you should be doing a flattening tee box sort of run through your whole course where you check every single tee box, but obviously we're going to be play testing it as well, so we want to make sure our tee box is nice and flat for play testing as well. Just run a bit heavy rough around there. Go back and just flatten that out. We can use the rectangle, just flatten. Make sure that's all nice and level. So through there, just seeing how close. I don't want to obviously fill all that in with grass. That's just a waste of. We'll put another tree there. We'll just go and do it quickly through this method. Just make sure they're not all the same. Looking back the other way. And we just need to grab a couple of smaller bushes and just start bringing that out a little bit more. Keep them low to the ground, because we're going to be filling in a bit of grass through there. Just don't want to waste all that space on grass when we can lay bushes. And there's a couple of little areas through here that we could drag these bushes out a bit further, so we're not wasting it all. Definitely that. And then we'll put one just to cover up that messy little section. We'll put a couple through here. And we can see that See where we've upscaled those trees, we can see all these bushes, so we're just going to cover them with more detailed downscale bushes to make sure we don't get nothing silly looking. That's that, that's that, that's that. Let's get some grass going. Do a big grass run. Boom. I can tell you now that this is much better than last night's work straight away. I messed around for 45 minutes and got absolutely nowhere. And everything I did try just looks rubbish. So we've gone half hour in and we've achieved a hell of a lot already. That tells me that I did the right thing, just switching it off and not trying to force it all. If we do get any grass stems that are overcutting the fairway, the drop off there, I'll just show you quick. We'll just flatten that out a little bit. There's a couple there that are floating in midair, so we'll just have to flatten that bit of land out a tiny bit. But obviously we're going to do the surface weathering trick through there. Now this might eat up quite a bit, but it's quite important, this little section. Just to get this island looking right on the left. Well, it's not an island, this bit of land on the left of the hole looking right. We're going to cover it all the way up to that point where we was. And we're going to do a run going back the other way, but we're going to spin the grass around this time. Probably go a little bit bigger. Try and cover a little bit higher up this time so we can get some higher grass behind. And then we'll be surface weathering little patches into this. I'm going to leave some patches because I'm going to put some extra bushes in anyway. Probably put a bush in there. We just want to make it a bit thicker through there with grass. So now I'm going to get my darker this area here. Actually, just bring that out. Like I say, I will flatten that off so it matches. We will get that darker bush. Nature trees. I've got these ones here to work with. I don't think I'm going to put any pink in along here. I don't mind sticking a bit of pink behind the hole sometimes in the area just to try and make it like a flowery feature with the pink leaves off the bush, but I don't want to overuse that. I want to keep that to a minimum and use it when I need it. Just where we've got a difference in height here, I'm going to have to try and fill that in with something. I'm just going to try and squeeze these little bushes in this area here just to try and break up that, because I can see I noticed that when I was planting it there was a slight difference in height there, but we can flatten it out as well, so it's nothing major. Just run a bit there. And then we've got this big broadleaf here. It's going to be quite visible from the green. I need to cover up with something a little bit more detailed, so I'm going to get a pine, probably one like this, bring it to the fore, get it to the right height we need, just so it draws your eye. It's white, it will draw your eye more than that particular other one. And we'll just put a normal darker pine in there, but we'll try, I want a thicker trunk. That'll hopefully break up that overscaled broadleaf there that we put in. So now we're going to get our surface weathering. We want to see how close I want to bring this grass. I really want to cover up to the foot of these trees, so yeah, okay. So all we're going to do with this little bit here is just run this bit of grass round. So we're going to go up to this sort of edge of this bit of rough, cover the trunks of these trees and just take that round there. Just make sure we fill all that in. It's quite an expanse, but it's fine. Have a look from behind. That's okay, but what we need in this area here is some darker bushes, because it's all looking a bit one-toned through there at the moment. Get a couple in here. One down lower. I think we'll put one about there. I might just put one more tall tree just in that little gap there, just to break it up again. I'll go for a pine. Any old one will do. About that. Let's get some surface weathering going, and I think that's pretty much the left done. Oop, wrong one. I'll get that a bit tight up. Too small in my actual shape. Get that through there. A nice big bit here, and then one right at the end. Back. Spin it that way. It's the, on this shape here, it's the really light white areas that are going to get the actual weathering. So the big point that's sticking out by the base of that tree on the right there, that gets it, and then that middle section. So I want to get that one out of the way. I use it because it just doesn't do the obvious area of adding it. It's, if I do one solid one, it will obviously just do one area. I'm trying to create broken up areas, so I find it's quite a nice little one to use. Doesn't do the whole thing, but it'll just do little smaller areas. So that's fine for a minute. It's just 1, 2, 3 spaces I'm going to fill with something, and we might try the pink one in that little area there, so we're not overdoing it. Just a little suggestion of it, just to break up our colour again. One in there. That might work for a minute. Let's have a look off the tee. Grass is looking very uniform down the left there, isn't it? Probably look better without some of that grass, to be honest. And the player's back is covering most of that line there. And it would be nice to have one. What we might try and do is, I think it's probably just where, like I said, I made it a little bit like that. We'll try and get a bit of that going, so it takes the grass away again, so it's not right in the player's eye, and get a little bit of rough land going through there again. Because what I might do here is add a tree that sort of goes out. I want to change the heights a little bit so it's not all just one flat surface, and maybe just a little bit here. And then I might be looking at, where would I put this tree? I'm gonna have to use a different one at some point, because we used this on the last hole, but you don't really notice it, so we can get away with putting it in here. I would like something maybe that cuts across here for a bit of character. It might affect a bit of shot shaping as well. Let's try it. And then we'll put a bush there at the base of it. Go for the light one, just to try and break up some of that grass. There's definitely an area there that needs something. Hopefully that'll break up that grass line a bit. We've lowered and raised it, pulled it out a little bit further, added a couple of bushes in so it might not look so straight and uniform now. That looks a bit better. Just whether this tree, if we're going to get a massive left to right coming in, how much that tree encroaches on the shot. Don't think we hit it. We'll try it without it and see if it takes away or adds anything interesting, because it was okay. It didn't blow me away. Oh wow, that looks cool. Let's have a look. There's definitely an area here that needed something. Where was it? I think it might be here. I want to get this left side done because I want to start on the right. Might just have been here, to be honest. Because we're getting really close to the player now, we need to downscale these bushes a lot. Make sure we can't see them. We can lift that one up a little bit. And put something here. Go for a different colour this time. Oh, there's someone at the door. I'll be 2 seconds. Very professional. Sorry about that. I'm doing this sort of middle of the daytime at the moment, so it was always going to happen, wasn't it? Rather than doing it at night when I do sometimes. So again, we've got this tree stem problem here, grass stem problem here. So I'm just going to flatten that out a little bit. Use the fuzzier shape just to try and eliminate the bottom of that stem sticking out. Because that's quite close to the green and the player will see that. We can do finer details with this sort of side because this is going to be where the player's putting in. And then we've obviously got that problem again of added trees, shadows across the green, so we're going to have to look at that at some point and work that out. But I'm just going to quickly take out a couple of these rougher edges so it's a little bit smoother in its transition. I said I wanted some, but I don't want it to be too jaggedy. I want it a little bit of gentle curve coming into certain areas and a little bit smoother. We'll look along the line, I can see what ones I want to take out. Let's go a bit smaller. I just want to take out those 3 sort of big lumps in a line there. At least those next 2 I want to cut in a little bit further. So say that. Right, I think that's the left side for now. I can do a little bit more detailing off camera. That's going to get the majority of that section done. Just want to take that bit out, sorry. It's not working very well, this shape. Let's try something straighter. See if we can't get it. I think it's just because of the original shape I used. Had lots of bumps and lumps. It's working against me now. No, I think I'm going to keep that one sticking out, and I'm just going to make a little bit more sticking out through there. And we do want to see if that big round tree worked or not, don't we? So let's just do it the other way. Go like that. Chop that down a bit more. Check our shot. That's fine. That's working. It's doing its job. It needs a tiny little bit more filling in. It's just, I wouldn't mind adding one more tree on the left here. It's quite, well, we got the one, let's come back. Well, we got the one right next to the tee. We got a big gap, and then we've got those 3 in a row. This is like a group of 3 or 4 of them. I'm just going to drag one of those back a bit into that gap, just to, like I say, you don't want to be perfectly uniform with your distances, but along that little section I just think it's a bit too open. So I believe hole 2, I think it's this one behind, isn't it? Looking at that, look, that's that one. If we drag that into there, hopefully that's the right one. Yeah, we got something there now. That's cool. There's that little white tree I can see on the left through there that's bugging me. But we'll worry about that another time. So let's have a look at the right. I said I wanted to get, let's get to the right hole. I wanted to get some grass topsoil running through there. Not grass topsoil, some subsoil dirt. I want to put this whole section through here up to about there. I want it all to be like it is in the background there. Some of that we're going to cover in trees anyway, but I want that to be like that, and then I'm going to obviously add the grass over the top of that particular spline and try and get that dappled looking weathered effect running down that hill. And we'll just make sure we're in the right spots. That should do it. That's the sort of look I want there. I just don't want this darker look there, so we'll add a bit of topsoil through there again on that section, and we can dampen that down. It should work if I go up through here. I don't mind it at the back there, it's just this little bit here looks a bit odd. If I do that and then dull that down, I should be able to blend that green back in to the right point. Just break it up a little bit, hopefully. Not really. Let's go back that way. And then we'll just try. I don't think I can bedrock that, can I? Let's try a bit of bedrock. It might look a bit too stark. Where would I start our bedrock? Say coming through here, along that little bit there, up through there. Would have to end along the line of that. There. The bedrock definitely doesn't look right now. It's much too white for what I want. Let's try a different bedrock texture. I'd like something a bit more grayer, to be honest. No. No. Too white. There is one that always seems to work really well, but I can't find it in a minute. No, let's take all those back out. I don't want it dominating the whole. I want it to be quite subtle, if there is any bedrock. That's not bad, to be fair. I want to see what it looks like down by the... Because this was the area I'm trying to make things blend, and that doesn't blend at all anymore. So we need to come back out of there. That was the original one. That blends a lot better. It's going to have to be that one, and we're just going to take it out. So it's not working how I want it to. And then I think we're just going to have to go a dark green topsoil along that whole section. We can have a path cutting through a lot of that, and we'll be filling it in with bushes and stuff anyway, so on out, that'll do it. And then on that. Blends it in a little bit better. So we're going to have a lot of vegetation running up there anyway. So let's put a couple of fillers in this little area here for now. And I'd like to get... I don't think we'll get our path in if I have time in this video. But we're going to keep working these fillers to try and get the areas we need done. And it'll be the same process again on the left just to finish it off. Bring it back so I want to see the trunk of that particular tree there. And then I just want to fill in this whole area here. And then I want to see what it looks like coming back from the first hole, because there was a gap through the back of the trees on the back of the green on the first hole. I want to see what that looks like as we look into this hole. So we're going to put the smaller bushes through here, so I don't really want to put that one there. So let me just save this because I'm quite happy with everything we've done. And then we might as well just, how much time have we got? 7 minutes. I might as well just try and get this cart path in very, very quickly. So we'll go cart path 1 so we can show you where we're going to be putting it at least. We're going to come up through here, around the back. I'm going to keep it quite straight along there. And we're going to be coming straight off round. Round, and I want to run it all the way around the back through that section and out through there. That's where we're sort of thinking of putting the path around the back, and then we're going to run a heavy rough over. Well, let's join it up first. There's our cart path line there. Edit, join onto that one. And we're going to get a heavy rough in. And I'll have to spend a bit of time off camera just flattening that path out. You've seen me do that on the other one, so we know the process of doing that. If you're a beginner, you can watch that episode and you can see smoothing paths and stuff like that. If you're more advanced, you don't want to watch me doing that because that's pretty boring. Let's get a heavy rough overlay over the top of that. I'm also going to make that cart path a little bit wider, I think. And then I'm going to put in a surface weathering very quickly, and then we'll play the hole from behind and see what that looks like. and I'll do the smoothing off camera. Go back to 2.7. I'm rushing a bit, so I'm not being as accurate as I should be probably here. That gets that in over the back, and I do believe I need to just find the previous. Let's go over here. Let's find the previous surface weathering spline. I want to see what intensity I said it as 53. I know that this one's got to be 53. So it's all matching. Let's get it down to that. That's that. That's where we're going to be coming around anyway. If we could sort of put one straight flat one in quickly along the back of that green. That's the sort of height we're going to be doing it. So you can see our bunkers in behind. Just want to creep it back a bit away from those trees, raise it up a bit. That's what we're going to be doing. I'll be doing that off camera, getting that all flattened out and looking smart. So let's have a quick look at the hole. Play hole 2. Once we flattened all that path work out on the right and added more trees along that sort of ridge and bushes, it's a lot more intimate than it was, and sort of look I'm looking for. I want to do something with this water's edge on the left here, make it a little bit smarter. I might get some bedrock in there, I might even start putting some bit of rock work in and a bit on the right there. Still needs work, but we've definitely got the hole looking more intimate and closed in, tree lined, similar to the previous hole. Yeah, it's a bit high. I may even cut that bank down a lot lower, which means I'll have to reset a lot of those bushes, but I'm not sure. We can do something like that. There's lots of planting to do, but let's have a look at the first hole and just see how it flows in from the previous shot on the first hole. Play course, set a bit of wind this time, just for fun. Yeah. So there's our first drive. The only thing you got to be careful of with this drive is obviously the bunkers on the left, but then you got to be careful of running out a fairway on the right. If you could take it too far away from those bunkers. That's held up fine there at that distance. So looking through those trees now into the other hole. That's working fine. Come back. It's all looking very green directly where my look all through that section there. I can see the trunks of the trees, but I might add a couple of lighter coloured trees in there in that section just to break it up. That's just where we laid all those broadleafs down as fillers, so we could just use something lighter there. But that's working through there. I'm just going to deliberately hit it past the hole so I can look back at that area from this angle. Just need to break something up through there. Starting to take shape. Oh, wasn't even looking at the putt. Seems like a nice environment to put a course. Yeah, we can get it to work. So thanks for watching. This was part 1. We'll be doing probably 2 or 3 parts on this hole. Hopefully 2, but that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Take care everyone, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Cheers.